It's been a big week so far as the US is concerned, and the next couple of days are not going to change. We've seen plenty of anticipation in the build-up to the first presidential debate that took place yesterday evening, but still to come this week, we've got plenty more economic data, including the all-important US jobs report, the final jobs report before that November 3rd election. So as I say, a big week as far as the US is concerned. And it's been interesting up until this point. We've actually seen the dollar pairing its recent gains. The bounce back we've seen in recent weeks had been building as far as the greenback is concerned. And it will be interesting to see if that correction has played out. And I think the widespread opinion is that this is just a dollar correction and that the longer term trend for the dollar continues to be to the downside. The question now, as I've already alluded to, is whether the actual correction has played out, or whether, as I currently potentially believe, there is still a bit more upside to come. There's obviously a number of factors which can play a part in that, which, as we've seen overnight and going into the next couple of days, these are going to be extremely key. And all of this has an influence as far as gold is concerned, and that brings together also more technical levels as well, which we'll touch on slightly later in the video. The key event so far this week was that presidential debate last night, and to be honest, I'm not too sure there was an enormous amount to take away from it. The studies do suggest that these debates don't tend to shift the dial typically too much in favor of either opponent. And going into the debate itself with former Vice President Joe Biden ahead in the polls by around 7 points, that would probably suit him. Coming out of the debate, I think many people were disappointed. It was extremely policy light. If anything, it was just a tit-for-tat exchange between the two presidential candidates. We didn't learn too much from the actual debating itself. There was lots of interruptions, and it was just really a fierce contest between two people who quite clearly don't particularly care too much for each other. And I think that's really reflected in the market. It didn't really change anything, and I can't imagine that the polls are going to show anything too differently. And as I say, because Biden went into the debate itself with such a significant lead, I'm sure he'll be quite happy for that to be the case. The fact that no one really won very much suits the person who has the lead heading into the polls. Ultimately, it was Biden that had the most to lose. There's still two debates to come, and we've of course got the vice presidential debate as well. So there's still plenty of opportunity for Trump to make up ground here, and I do feel like this is his battleground. This is where he potentially is one of the areas where he is stronger than Joe Biden. And therefore, I'm sure he'll feel confident going into them that lead can be closed even further in the final weeks heading into the election itself. So the markets are still going to be very much gripped by these events, even if that first debate itself was quite disappointing. And as I say, you look at the markets where we are now, and going into this major jobs report later on this week, gold has started to pair some of the recent losses which we have been seeing, building back up into that 1900 zone. We bottomed out around 1850 earlier on this week, gradually now rising back towards that $1,900 zone. $1,900 previously was a major area of support as far as gold is concerned. Tested that level on at least 2 or 3 occasions, and therefore a move above here could symbolically be quite a significant move. I'm not sure that necessarily spells an end for the downtrend, though, as far as gold is concerned. Even a move back into the 1950s just represents a retracement of the overall move to the downside from those peaks not too long ago. So I do still think there could potentially be downside as far as gold is concerned, but symbolically, I think that 1900 break could be quite significant and re-energize the bull. So it'll be interesting to see how we would trade if we did break above that level. Obviously, these moves do coincide nicely with the moves that we see in the dollar. The US dollar index is testing that 94 support where it broke through previously. Again, that was previously an area of support of resistance, 93.50 through 94. Now we're seeing that act as support. So a break of one would surely mean a break of the other. So we could see a kind of double hit as far as these markets are concerned. So certainly one to keep an eye out for. And there's plenty of economic data still to come this week, which could deliver such a move.